This regular meeting of the Judson Board of Trustees is hereby called to order at 7 p.m. tonight. We'll take roll call. Mr. Salinas?
Present, sir, and thank everybody for being here this evening. Thank you.
Mr. Shaw?
Good evening, I'm here, and good evening, thank you for being here.
Mr. Flores?
President, thank you all for being here.
Mr. Macias?
Present and welcome.
Mr. LaFoyle?
Good evening.
Dr. Salinas?
Good evening.
And I'm Steve Salyer, present, and I'd like to introduce our superintendent, Dr. Carl Montoya.
Good evening and welcome, students.
Thank you all. Will you all please rise for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance, presentation of the colors.
Well, I'd like to introduce to you our pledge leader for tonight. She is Bailey Chapman. She's a fifth grader at Salinas Elementary School. Bailey is a wonderful student who has a smile every day and volunteers willingly to help others. She is a choir member and last year helped represent Salinas in the district honor choir. She loves to sing, but we won't ask you to sing right now. Bailey has an old English bulldog at home named Buck, and she likes to take care of him along with her sisters Erin and Kyra. Her parents are Gary and Teresa Chapman. Let's join Bailey in the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. and Texas flags.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Please remain
You may be
standing for the
seated.
invocation.
Please bow your heads. Lord, we pray that you guide us always, and especially this evening at this meeting, to do the right things to help our students and staff, and to always remember that you are divine and always positive and work with everyone in a very good way. And Lord, help us to remember a gentleman who unfortunately this afternoon died at the Evans Road High School site, one of the workers. Please let us remember him in our hearts as he was building this school, and remember our students especially and help them in their future in a very positive way. We pray to the Lord. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Flores? Go ahead.
I'd like to have a moment of silence. The Judson family lost someone this past month, Giles Babb. He was a big supporter of Judson, graduated from here, and we could just have a moment of silence for him. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go around here.
You may be seated.
Go around.
I'd like to give Bailey a hand for a nice job. And her mother is Miss Teresa Chapman. If you could stand just for a moment. Thank you. I'd also like to recognize our color guard for this evening, coming from Wagner High School Junior ROTC, Cadet Private Gaston Martinez, Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Zulema Martinez, Cadet Captain Abigail Santos, and Cadet Private Austin Wiley. They are under the command of Instructor Lieutenant Colonel Chuck Williams. Our first board recognition this evening. In the coming years, you're going to be hearing an awful lot about CTE programs. That's Career and Technology Education. The reason there are so many companies that are looking for skilled people to fill a growing need in the business and technology world. One of the real pillars of the CTE program in Judson ISD is Julian Acevedo. Mr. Acevedo? He has been elected by his peers to serve as the president of TIVA, which is the Texas Industrial Vocational Association. Mr. Acevedo has been a great leader and motivator to CTE students at Kitty Hawk Middle School for a very long time, and he has been recognized by the JISD Board of Trustees many times for various awards, and his students have always been very, very successful at Skills USA contests around the state. He is an awesome teacher, and we congratulate him for his willingness to share his experience and leadership with other teachers throughout this TIVA position. It is a statewide position as well. Congratulations. And we have one more recognition. As mentioned just a moment ago, Judson ISD lost a true friend to the district. They want to recognize and briefly pay respects to Giles Babb. He was someone who played a big part in the support and legacy of the district. Giles was born in Greeley, Colorado, February 11th, 1960. He graduated from Judson High School in 1978, and he earned a bachelor's degree in chemistry from Texas A&M, followed by a master's in environmental science from UTSA. Giles was very active in his church and the community. Giles was also continued to support his alma mater, Judson High School, up until his death. He offered valuable input at the school board meetings, was involved in many of the bond issues, and was an avid supporter of the Judson Rockets. In fact, he attended all of the games, both here and away, since 1984. His website, judsonrocketball.com, is a history book of sorts to Judson athletics and will continue to serve as a source of Rocket pride for years to come. Giles was known for his kind and loving heart, as well as his unique communication style and sense of humor. Giles Babb peacefully passed from this world on the morning of July 30th, 2015. He will be greatly missed by his friends and relatives. Those are this evening's board recognitions. Thank you very much.
Excuse me. We have a few guests here. Okay. We have a few guests here. I want to recognize Councilman Jeff Bueller, from Converse. I think and I think we have two former board members. I think Sonny Merle's here, and I saw Wayne Harper earlier, so thanks for coming. Dr. Montoya has a couple of recognitions.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Our role has always been to help our students and support them. We have some student leaders here that I want to introduce, and I'll begin with Garrett Rokas Judson, if you'll stand. Okay. Kristen Bird from Judson. Mabai Aben from Judson. Tyler Williams from Judson. Deshani Holt from JLA. Christopher Salinas from Judson. Keiston Edwards from Wagner. And Jacintha Delmuth from JECA. Again, at board meetings, we'll be having our student leaders sit in and watch and learn, and that's the reason we're here, folks. Thank you, students.
Thank you. I'm very pleased you have taken time to join us this evening. As the Judson Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals and policies and oversee the management of the district. We are responsible for approving budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and to listen to reports from the superintendent. We are not here to make administrative or management decisions pertaining to the daily operation of the district. This is the responsibility of the superintendent. In compliance with state government code on open meetings, tonight's agenda has been appropriately posted. This is a meeting in the public, not a meeting of the public. As our guests, you're welcome to observe and listen. These proceedings are being video and audio recorded and will become part of Judson's permanent legal record. In order that the tape adequately reflects these proceedings, please silence your mobile phones and refrain from talking while others are speaking. Since it's legally mandated that these proceedings are recorded accurately, I may have to ask periodically, should I notice disruptions or interfering with our recordings, that silence be made. Okay, at this time, we'll do citizens be heard. A person may speak one time for a period of 3 minutes. Presentation shall be informative only. No board action will be taken. A complaint or charge against an officer or an employee of the district is not allowed in open session. Complaints and concerns for which other resolution channels are provided shall be directed through those channels. The presiding officer shall determine whether a person who wishes to address the board has attempted to solve the matter administratively. If not, the person shall be directed to appropriate policy to seek resolution before bringing the matter to the board at a subsequent meeting. Citizens wishing to receive response from concerns presented to the board must provide written documentation. The board shall not deliberate or decide regarding any subject that is included on the agenda posted with the notice of the meeting. Okay, I have a few folks here, and when I call your name, just come to the podium and please identify yourself. Robert Coster, did I get it right? Coster?
Yes.
Robert?
Frank Keaston to go first.
Pardon?
Keaston is also, he's go first.
Keiston Edwards, you want to go Keiston? Go ahead. 3 minutes, Keiston. Okay.
Hello, my name is Keaston Edwards. I live at 4827 Castle Princess, San Antonio, Texas. I am a sophomore at Wagner High School. The reason I am here today is to talk about the neighborhood basketball court at Park Village Elementary. For the past 7 years, I have been able to play basketball at the outdoor courts at Park Village Elementary School. Over the past 7 years, we would be able to go to the courts and play basketball with all my friends. About 20 kids would usually come out and we would all play all together. It is a safe place where all the neighborhood kids can go and take stress off and out all the time. I have been at the basketball Out of all the times I have been at the basketball court, I've never encountered any bad incidents while I was there. During the summer, we found that the court has been closed and we have been shut out from playing basketball. When the gates were locked, we had to jump the fence to go play basketball. On one or two occasions, there has been a person who contacted the police because we had jumped the fence. When the police arrived, they told us someone had called and said that we were trespassing on their property. On both occasions, after some of us spoke to the officers, they left and we kept playing. We don't want to jump the fence anymore. We want to be able to come and go like we used to for the past 7 years. Some of us went to go talk to the school officials, and they said they cannot unlock the gates. It occurred to us, if it wasn't the responsibility of Park Village to lock the gates, then this is a new school policy and other schools are locked as well. Therefore, we collected signatures from other members in our district to support us in our petition. On Monday evening, we started collecting signatures, and we so far have 104 people's signatures. If you think we need bigger consent, we will keep collecting more signatures. This is our neighborhood, these are our schools, and we will do whatever to freely walk through the gates to play at our courts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Coster?
My name is Bob Coster, and I'm the founder and director of Perspective 2035, an organization whose purpose is to create closer community in underserved neighborhoods. Working with what already exists in that neighborhood at the grassroots level and using creativity, imagination, and fun to bring people who share common interests together. It's nice to be reminded occasionally why you took the effort to run for school board in the first place. It must be gratifying to see a young man like Heaston step up and represent the concern of his neighborhood. Concerning the locked gates, whatever justification there has been for this action, the community was never informed nor their input required. It's ironic that public funds are being used to lock the community out of its own places that actually foster community. So it occurred to me that maybe the locking of gates is symbolic of bigger things happening in public education. Centralized control left the individual schools powerless to unlock their own gates. That it should come down to a teenager pleading to a school board to allow him and his friends to organize pickup games on their neighborhood school grounds should be rather concerning to you. As the locking of gates is symbolic, so the unlocking of gates should also be symbolic. If excellence in education is to become more than just a catchphrase at Judson, you're going to have to look more carefully for other gates that are locked to students, parents, teachers, principals, and the community as a whole. It isn't the responsibility, nor is it possible for the district to build community in our neighborhoods. But it is possible for the district to become an obstacle to the development of community in our neighborhoods. This, you must ensure, isn't happening on your watch. My organization is proposing to families in our community a behavioral model based not on rules, but a promise. Its motto is, a healthy attitude precedes excellence in education. This isn't just for kids. It's designed to be adopted by parents, teachers, principals, superintendents, and yes, school board members too. The proof will be in the fruit. Politics in education is inevitable, but let's be honest with our politics. Let's stop passing off mediocre as excellence. Park Village Elementary is at the bottom in performance at both the district and state levels. This is the neighborhood where Keeston's family lives. So what would it take for Park Village to compete at the highest level in achievement with other schools? It's going to have to be a community effort because the district alone continues to fail here on its own. Unlock the gates to fresh ideas and real community involvement. Let a grassroots movement take hold. Don't hinder things that are not initiated by the district. There's a benefit to an equal partnership with the community through community initiatives. Let us take ownership of our problems and successes together. Lastly, one action that you can take in addition to unlocking the basketball and other court gates are to allocate funds for the improvement of these facilities and better access of the community to them. I test you to see if the community won't agree with this proposal. I'm also going to leave you my behavior models that we were going to start to work in the Park Village area. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Briggs Johnson? Mr. Johnson?
Good evening. My name is Elder Brian Johnson. I'm with New Dimensions Ministries in Converse, Texas. Thank you all for allowing me to come out today. I wanted to invite the trustee board for JISD and the JISD community to a youth festival that our church is having on Saturday, September the 19th at the Converse North Park. This event is called the New Dimensions Ministries Community Youth Festival, and at this event we'll have some services that I believe will benefit the children of Judson School District. We'll have some free health screenings. We'll be providing some free health assessments, basic health assessments. There's going to be free games, free activities for the community. It's free to the public. So we would ask and we invite the trustee boards that represent Judson ISD, the community of JISD, youth groups, friends, family, come on out and just have a good time with us. Again, it is Saturday, September the 19th from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Converse North Park. And that address is 8201 Springtown Street in Converse, Texas. And we would just love to see everybody come out and have a great time. I have some flyers here that I would love to leave if they could be distributed. You all have an excellent e-file system. We've been able to get some of the flyers to some of the schools in that area. Real simple process, and I thank y'all that y'all allowed us to do that versus going and printing a bunch of flyers and knocking on principals' doors to distribute them on the campus. But we'd love to see y'all.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, and you all have a good evening.
Thank you. Arthur Vega, Mr. Vega?
Hi, my name is Arthur Vega. It's been a while since I was at a board meeting, so I'm a little nervous. But
Your time. We don't bite.
I know he doesn't. I know him personally, Mr. Salinas over there. But I'm here for the ruling of the new high school. In my opinion, I think it should have gone to a better person, not Mr. Mackey. I think that he didn't do much for the district, but there are possible other candidates that did better for the district. Off the top of my head, we could use the name of Mr. Parsley or Coach Rackley. There's many other names that could have been used instead of Mr. Mackey. From what I've heard and read, the Judson School District asked for names, got over 400 names. You know, a lot of them are legit names, possible repeated names to get 400 names. I would just ask, let the community vote for the name, not the board. That's just my opinion. Other than that, I think y'all should just reconsider the name and pick somebody else, not Mr. Mackey. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we're going to change things around here just because we got some folks got to leave. We're going to go real quick to item 6D, presentation of athletics. Coach Tanner, and come on up, and just because they have to leave because they got to do their job tonight.
Good evening, board members, and thank you for allowing us to report very briefly because we do indeed have to get to a football game that's probably in the middle of the first quarter already. So you received 2 documents, and our report is focused on giving you some background on those 2 documents. One of the documents is a discipline report document, and another document is a document that lists the number of scholarships earned by Judson ISD students over the last 5 years. Both of these documents are important because they both represent part of the whole picture in Judson athletics. That picture, as we've stated many times, is we want to produce great citizens for Judson ISD, for the state of Texas, and for the United States of America. Discipline is part of that process. If you'll look at the records, and that shows all students that have been disciplined over the last 5 years, you will see that that there are suspensions and there are dismissals. However, most of the dismissals return and graduate from the program if they still have some eligibility left. The reason that is present there is it's done as a last resort. It's part of the process. Student athletes get counseled every day on behavior, character education, how to be better sons and daughters, how to be better parents, how to be better adults. That's a daily activity of our coaches. They counsel, they let the athletes cry on their shoulders. They're their parents when they're at school. It's part of the discipline process, and they have that in the athletic policies for dismissal, but it happens very, very infrequently. Now I'd like to let Coach Tanner come up and talk to you a little bit about the athletic scholarship portion.
Good evening. Thank you for your time this evening. Over the past 5 years, we've had 130 student athletes receive athletic scholarships from Judson ISD. 72 young ladies and 58 young men have received scholarships totaling over $8 million. These student athletes took the opportunity presented by Judson ISD and made the most of it. Scholarships were earned in football, volleyball, boys and girls basketball, boys and girls soccer, tennis, cross-country track, softball, baseball, and sports medicine. It takes a tremendous commitment by the student athletes, their parents, and the high school faculty and staff to help achieve this goal. We look forward in the very near future to having many more student athletes have the same opportunity, and we believe that we will continue to have great young people receiving the opportunity to play collegiate sports. This concludes our presentation this evening, unless there's any questions.
Any questions?
Yes.
Go ahead, Ms. Brashaw, go ahead.
Thank you, and thank you for your report. But I do have some questions. These statistics are pretty comprehensive. However, I'd like to ask Mr. Miller a few questions, please, sir. And Board, I'd like you to take a look at page 109 and 110. Ready?
Yes, well, I don't have the page numbers like that.
Oh,
What's in
okay.
reference to?
Thank you, Mr. Fields.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, I noticed that on page 109, there's that one student from that particular college, Colorado State, and then on 110, and I'm not sure what sport that is for that particular scholarship, but then on page 110, that name is mentioned again, and it's a different amount of money, and it does say football. Please explain to me the two different designations for scholarship.
It's on page 109, it's a 4-year total, and on page 110, it's a 1-year total.
Oh, I see. Okay. And do the students tell you what school, if they've gotten, they've been recommended for several schools, do they tell you which school they actually have chosen to go to?
the students tell their coaches, and the coaches work with the college recruiters to either advise at the student's request or give more information about the college. But it's the student's choice and the parent's choice about which college they attend.
Okay. I noticed that on page 111, 12, and several other pages, some of them have a dollar amount, some do not. For example, if it says 2 years partial, what does that mean?
It means that the NCAA allows colleges to give a full ride only. These colleges might be NCAA Division II, which allows partial scholarships. Sometimes they'll just say, well, will you come and play volleyball if we pay for your books?
Okay, so it's either going to be meals or books or room.
Room, board, meals,
Okay.
all those things.
For the partial.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank
It
you.
still translates into a dollar amount. We just don't receive that information because the dollar amounts come from how much it costs to room, board, meals, and fees to attend that university. And usually it's a Division I university, so that information is readily available because parents have to pay it to get their kids in.
Right, and so some of these don't have dollar amounts, so
Correct.
that's why.
Because really, they don't have dollar amounts because the school isn't notified because that's really not so much of our business. Okay, that's private between the families.
All right, then go to page 117, please. At the top of the page, there are a lot of question marks. And the school, some of those schools aren't specified. It just says junior college. So does that mean that the coach didn't know where that particular student was going?
No, ma'am. It probably means that's data from 2012. That's 3 years ago, and that a coach no longer coaches that team because of a coaching change. And they did their best to provide the information, but they just couldn't. They couldn't remember. The remaining coaches around there said had record of the student going to college and where they went, and that it was a junior college. But because the head coach had moved on to another job or was not there, we don't have that information.
And so it was probably better to just not put it then,
It could have been, yes, ma'am.
to just not put it if it's unknown. Okay. I'd like to just ask you, Mr. Miller, after this report was put together, what jumped out at you the most?
Our athletes earn a lot of scholarships.
Okay. You know, I'm disappointed because there are quite a few scholarships. But when you look on our website, sir, there isn't anywhere on our website that shows or celebrates the successes of those students. And I think for a district of our magnitude, we should be more ready to show the public and those families of those kids and the kids how we celebrate what they've done. You know, I noticed that on the stadium, there's area to put successes for Wagner, but they're not up there yet. And I recall looking at the news, and a little young lady, real short little petite girl, won the wrestling championship, state championship. And it's not up there yet. It's not on our website. And we do a disservice to our kids when we say we're here for them, when we don't celebrate their successes. I went to a website of another school district that doesn't have the type of success we do in our championships, South Lake Carroll? And on the home page, there's a column, and in that column, there's a place where you can drop down and look at South Lake Carroll's, the history of their athletic department, and all of their successes, of their scholars, their championships. That's what I'm talking about. I think we're lacking in that area. And if we're here for kids, then we really need to be here for kids. When I looked at the disaggregation part of the report that you gave us, unfortunately, Mr. Miller, it looks like those that were removed or dismissed from the programs that they participated in are majority minority.
Can I speak to that?
And that's what jumped out at me.
Can I speak to it?
Yes, sir, but I have something else to say. I'd like to know what we do to intercede before it gets to this place. I heard you say they're counseled all the time, but is there an intervention to keep the student from having to go there? Now I'll let you address.
Okay. The discipline disaggregation is a reflection of the students that we have in the program. We have, in our district, we have upwards of 90% minorities as students. That is reflected in our athletic programs. Consequently, if you look at our soccer teams are predominantly Hispanic. Okay, if a soccer player makes a bad choice and results in a suspension or extra running or whatever, he's going to be Hispanic because that's all there is on the soccer team. All of our athletic programs are a general reflection of the schools of the demographics of our schools. If you look at the basketball teams are African American. That doesn't play a part in how we conduct the teams. Several coaches, when asked about the demographics of their team, they said, I don't know, because it doesn't make any difference. Athletics is the one place where you're judged on your performance, just like Dr. King proclaimed us to all do, to judge each other on our character and performance. That's what athletics does, and athletics at Judson does that. And as far as, posting scholarships on the website, we can certainly look into that. I would have some concern about the legality of that, and I would check into that, certainly. Because as a high school player, I received a scholarship. I didn't want that to be publicized, because then all of a sudden, all this pressure is, now they're expecting a whole lot out of me. Fortunately, it went well, but I didn't want to have additional pressure. I was putting pressure on myself to achieve. As far as the stadium goes, there are two ways to get on the stadium. And the stadium behind the press box, it's reserved for football state championships for teams. And that's because they compete there, and track state championships for teams. That's because they compete there. Basketball teams, like Wagner's had a run of tremendous basketball talent. They have 6 state tournament appearances. Those appearances and the 2 NBA players from Wagner are honored at the gym where they competed at Wagner High School. The outstanding tennis players that we had at Judson several years ago,
Yes.
they're honored at the tennis courts on the fence at Judson High School. Aaron Walker, who won state in wrestling several years ago, he's honored there. Julie Mata, who the young lady you're speaking of, she's honored in the Wagner gym because that's where she competed. So
I'm glad to hear that.
we can't by the number of amount of success that we have, we cannot list everybody on the back of the press box. We just can't. There's not enough room. Okay, that's a sign of health in the athletic program, but we can't put them all up there because there's just not enough room. You run out of it. So we made a decision, and Dr. Mackey's the one that told us to list those track ones up there, the track state championships. He said, this is how you do it, this is what it's for, and we just followed the direction.
What type of preparatory programs do you have in place to prepare kids who are having that difficulty in school? Do you have any kind of...
I will tell you, we assume nothing with any of the athletes in our program. We don't believe that we believe that our role as coaches ends up being their parent at school. We've done, and this is since I've been athletic director. I know that some of our coaches bought their kids who didn't have anything, reached into their pockets and bought them Christmas presents to try to build a relationship. Okay, they've filled out, helped them fill out the FAFSA forms for college. At each high school, we have a coach assigned to college recruitment. They handle all of that for the kids, make sure they're eligible through the NCAA clearinghouse. They do individual counseling with the parent, with the athlete, because so many of our students have only one parent or no parents. Many times the coaches serve as the surrogate parent, advisor, and they work with the community advisors, the pastors, the mentors within the community to help get the young people going in the right direction. It's not after the fact, it's before the fact.
Good.
It's before the fact.
Good.
And I'll give you a good example. 2 years ago, the Texas High School Coaches Association Education Foundation started a program called Leadership Summit. And one of the ex-Judson Rockets, Dewey Gray, he's a pastor in North Carolina. He's nationally known. He spoke at that conference, and he will tell you that the program that is still in place throughout Judson Athletics, where you get mentorship and leadership and advisement and parenting within the program, saved him and put him on the right path, not only to the NFL, because he played for the Baltimore Colts, not the Baltimore Colts, whatever the Colts are.
Ravens.
Yeah. No, he didn't play for the Ravens. He played for the Colts. It's the Indianapolis Colts. Thank you. He played for the Indianapolis Colts, and then he became a pastor. He was too shy to even speak, and if you heard him speak now, you would just be amazed. And he credits the job that his high school coaches did for him. That program continues to this day. Not only in the boys program, our girls programs are outstanding. They do a great job on a daily basis to mentor, to guide, and to address the challenges that young people have growing up these days.
That's good to hear, because there needs to be restorative measures for some of these kids. You know, Mr. Miller, that for some, that's all they have, is what they lend their talent, is what they lend on the football field or the basketball coach or the soccer field. That is what they are able to lend to their school district, is their talent. They may not be scholarly athletes, but I want to know what type of restorative measures do we have to keep those kids in school, so that they're not making bad choices when they get out. And I know that all of those kids don't have families that are able to get them in the clubs and the camps that go on in the summertime, because they're very expensive. A lot of those kids' parents can't do that, but what about the ones that can't? Are we doing something to help them? That's the nature of my question.
There are times where it's illegal for the coaches to be involved with their kids in the summertime through camps and things like that. However, Judson Athletics works with the Judson Youth Sports Foundation and the Judson Education Foundation to run the Eric Dickerson football camp every summer. And that's one area. And there are football camps that are legal that our coaches run, and they're involved with the kids. So yes, there's multiple programs. The very nature of coaching is to try to keep these young men and young women out in athletics. We believe that athletics is the best dropout prevention program that is in existence. And it would be non-productive for our district to look for ways to eliminate kids rather than to look for ways to include kids and give them every opportunity, especially when they have nothing or nowhere else to go and they have some talent. This is the avenue where they become a successful young person or a successful young adult.
And that's what I strive for also.
Yes,
I agree with that. Thank you, Mr. Miller. I know you all have somewhere to go. I appreciate your report. And the only other thing that I'd like to say, I noticed that the charts that we have are inconsistent. They don't all look the same.
Yes, ma'am. That's because we have 130 coaches in the district, and it's probably in the neighborhood of 25 head coaches, and we sent them what we wanted them to, the way we wanted them to reply, but with 25 different people and cutting and pasting and my lack of technology prowess, so I'll take full responsibility for that. We did the best that we could in the time that we had to prepare.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
I have no more questions.
Mr. Salinas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a few things, sir. We have to be very, very careful when we're just going to, whether a student is still here or graduated, naming of students by name. We have to be very, very careful. Since I've been here in 2009, we have recognized, I would have to say at least 1,000 students that are recognized here every month. And I know Ms. Paschal has been with us for a couple of months, but eventually you will see that, yes, whether they're in athletics, career technology, in art, whatever it is, or JECA, we recognize a lot of students, this board, but we don't recognize them just to recognize them. The administration will make the recommendations, and we have recognized a lot of them, especially the young lady you were talking about. I know that These coaches go out of the ways, they have tutoring for all the students. And I'm gonna put this on the line. I'm going to say in public, 90 to 95% of your athletes graduate from high school, and I'm very proud of that. Thank you, sir.
Anyone else? Mr. Macias?
Thank you, Coach, both of you, for the presentation. I appreciate that. Can you tell me if we track the percentage of our athletics program in terms of going to college? Do we track or have any idea of what that percentage might look like?
We have about, at any one time, there's about 3,500 athletes in the secondary schools. And we do not track which athletes, go to college. What the data that you received are the athletes that received college scholarships.
Yeah.
That's the kind of data that we collect because we're aware of it. I think if we went through and matched the number of athletes in the program with the number that go to college, I think it would be a high percentage, but I would be remiss if I could quote you a number off the top of my head.
Well, certainly to piggyback on Mr. Salinas about being proud of our athletics program and having 95% plus finishing high school, we would want to tout what athletics does in terms of college or career readiness so that we know what it looks like. I think any individual that goes through an athletic program is getting a well-rounded education, and I think prepares them for that next step. So we'll look at that to see if that's a possibility to ask these coaches to give some sort of idea of how many of their kids are going to go ahead and go on into college or the workforce. But thank you.
You're welcome.
One more thing, please. Mr. Miller, before you go, would you please consider the website and making it more friendly
Certainly.
to
yes,
the athletic department? It just is, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The website essentially is within my department and the technology department. I'm more responsible for the content. And I will tell you that over the past couple of years, anytime that my department gets word that there is a scholarship that's being awarded to a student, we will either have a photographer there or we make sure that there is a picture, a photo taken so that we can have that on the website. We find out where they're going to college. We find out what position that they played, what college that they're going to be going to, all of those specifics. And every time that I get that, I post that on the website. Now, whenever you go to the home page, anytime that there is a new story, there is a list. And anytime there is a new listing, all the other ones get pushed down. Now, I will say that when we have a picture taken of a scholarship winner, many times that will even be on the slideshow that's on the home page, so that it actually even gets even more visibility. Now, and those will stay on the website actually for a very, very long time as far as our archive is concerned. If you go to any, click on any story, on the right-hand side, you will see a listing of academics, athletics, all sorts of links that you can click on. When you click on athletics, there is a list of stories that you can go to, and even older entries over the past at least couple of years that have all the scholarship winners that have been posted on the website. Now, we can put something that's on the home page itself, but really we would like to celebrate all the successes, whether they're athletic or academic. And so we kind of keep that generic, but whenever they do come up, we either try to put them on the slideshow, or we make sure that they are on the JBlog list so that other people can see them. And I also put those on our social media sites as well. And the social media sites basically serve as kind of a teaser so that people can be pointed towards the website so that they can see the full story. So That's kind of how we work that. But whenever I get a notification from either the high schools or the athletic department that they are going to be awarding a scholarship, or that there's a scholarship being awarded to a student, we either try to be there, Mr. Rhodes tries to be there, or if we can't make it because of staffing issues, we make sure that we try to get someone to take a picture, whether it's, you know, somebody from the school or whomever.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mike's on, I'm sorry. Consider and take action regarding approving monthly financial information as of August 31st, 2015. 4C, consider and take action regarding approving expenditures equal to or greater than $50,000. 4D, consider and take action regarding approving instruction procedure procurement method for Kitty Hawk Middle School bus drive replacement. Okay. 4E, consider and take action regarding approving submission of the 2015 appraisal roll and certified by Bear Appraisal District for the Judson Independent School District. 4F, consider and take action regarding approving submission of the 2015 effective rollback tax rate for the Judson Independent School District. 4G, consider and take action regarding approving update DCE local employment practices, other types of contracts, second reading. 4H, consider and take action regarding approving update to DIA local employee welfare, freedom from discrimination, harassment, retaliation, second reading. 4I, consider and take action regarding approving update to EIA local academic achievement, grading process reports to parents, second reading. 4J, consider and take action regarding approving professional development and appraisal system, PDAS certified list of appraisers. 4K, consider and take action regarding approving resolution declaring Bear County 4-H as an extracurricular activity and Bear County 4-H extension staff adjunct faculty. Pull. Motion, Mr. Foyle, second, Mr. Macias. We are voting on 4A, B, C, E, F, G, H, I, and J. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we're going to D, 4D. Consider and take action regarding approving instruction project method for Kitty Hawk Middle School bus drive replacement. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Mr.
Second.
LaFoille. Motion, Mr. Flores. Second, Mr. Macias. Mr. Macias, you pulled that one, sir?
I surely did. This one sounds, again, like we have some repair work that needs to happen on the bus loop. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. Macias.
And is this something that we might consider a possible infrastructure improvement for a future bond? I say that only because it's dealing, I think, with bricks and mortar or cement or any of that, or?
Yes. I think the immediate issue is probably more of a safety issue, as well as the buses that are driving over there are probably taking a toll on the tires, everything else. So it may be more of an immediate action to approve it so that we can settle that. But you're correct that in the long run, we may need to look at not only Kitty Hawk, but some other sites for the bond.
What I'd like to do is obviously not hinder that, because obviously safety is important and we do need to move on that, but to actually amend this to include reimbursement from a future bond. I know that there have been some items that we've done that, but if it's such a small amount, we may not need to. I don't even know, that's what my next question essentially is, how much is it costing us?
Mr. Elizondo, if you'll share that piece with them.
Do you know, Mr. $125,000 is estimated project cost. So for that amount, although it is large, it's not really large enough to do a reimbursement request. But we can if the board would like.
Typically,
But this is just for sealed bids.
I know, it's not, it's only for
Okay,
the sealed bid, but
bids,
just
not
to get an
approval.
idea of what the project cost would be. And so you're saying it's 125,000?
Approximately,
What
yes,
is the usual threshold for seeking reimbursement? In the millions?
Yes, sir. We usually wait till we hit $1 million or close to that before we ask the board for that authorization. And just also for you to know that when the maintenance department submitted their budget for 15-16, this was part of the budget that they submitted and was approved by the board.
Okay. All right, well then we won't amend. Thank you.
Mr. Salinas.
Thank you, Mr. Sellier. By the way, board members, this has been on the discussion for the last 3 years. And if you want to know why, just take a ride around that little circle where the tennis courts are, and it's been horrible. It's been terrible for the buses. It damages the buses real bad. I did call, and we discussed it during the budget process, and the question was, are we going to amend the budget? They said, no, it's already on the budget, so we don't have to amend anything. So I will be supporting this. It's time we get it done. Thank you.
Mr. Shaw.
Yes, sir. I just want to know, okay, I'm sorry. What is the problem with these bus loops? Because, you know, Copperfield Elementary has only been open for a year, and it already has bus loop problems. Is that the architecture? Is that the builder? What is it? I mean, that school's only a year old.
Mr. Fields, you want to try to
yes,
get
sir.
that information, please?
I would say that in the areas in which we're building the schools, there's a lot of shifting in the soil. Even though we're pre-treating it with chemicals, it still shifts a lot. In terms of the Kitty Hawk bus loop, it's been this way for years, like Mr. Salinas said, and this year we finally got it in the budget to prepare to fix it. And this is just a bid to go out and figure out who can give us the best price in correcting it.
To wait to the end of the meeting.
Any other questions?
Anything else? Is that it? Any other comments, questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We will go to 4K. Consider and take action regarding approving a resolution declaring Bexar County 4-H as extracurricular activity and Bexar County 4-H since staff adjunct status. That was pulled. Who pulled that one? Mr. Macias? Arnold? Both of them? Okay. Do I have a motion? Need a motion. Motion, Mr. Flores?
Second.
Second, Mr. Macias. Fight it out. Who wants to go first?
No, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I just want to make sure that after we vote on it, that you read these
Yeah, I gotta read it.
resolutions so everybody
Yeah,
will hear.
we gotta pass it
Thank you, sir.
first.
That's all I
Yeah,
had.
okay. Mr. Macias?
I know this is just probably an obvious answer, but they've never been extracurricular before. 4-H I mean, they've been around, we've had it, but how has it been in the past? I guess I'm trying to understand the difference between what this resolution is asking for and what the history has been.
Mr. Macias, it's my understanding this has happened for several years. This is almost a yearly process.
So we ask for it annually?
Yeah, I believe so. That's just an annual.
Okay. And so there's no increased support that we need to provide them in order to meet this new status or designation?
No, it just, again, allows some of the 4-H instructors on their side to be classified that they can assist our kids, because obviously we have our own sponsors on this end with FFA and 4-H, but it allows the other half from the community and others to work with our kids.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, let's move on here. Yeah, I'm going to read it. Sorry, I had it right in front of me. Okay. Extracurricular status of 4-H organization. It is hereby resolved that upon this date, the duly elected Board of Trustees of Judson Independent School District, meeting in public with a quorum present and certified, did adopt this resolution and recognizes currently enrolled 4-H members in Bexar County, Texas 4-H organization as approved and recognized and eligible for extracurricular status consideration under 19 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 76.1, pertaining to extracurricular activities. Participation by 4-H members under provisions of this resolution are subject to all rules and regulations set forth under 19 Texas Administrative Code as interpreted by this board and designated officials of this board, school board district, whose ruling shall be final. It is hereby resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Judson Independent School Board, meeting in public with a quorum present and certified, did adopt this resolution that recognizes the Bexar County Extension Director or her designee who meets all necessary criteria as adjunct staff members, and that student participating in 4-H extension educational activities be counted in attendance for foundation school program purposes. Approved the 17th day of September 2015, signed by the Board of Trustees. Thank you. Okay, discussion items. We're going to item 5, discussion and consideration items. 5A, consider and take possible action regarding approving a proclamation declaring October Family and Community Engagement Month. Do I have a motion? Motion, Mr. Floyd. Second, I think, Mr. LaFoyle. Any discussion? I got to get over here to read it. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Good. Okay, I'm going to read this one. Judson ISD Producing Excellence, the Family and Community Engagement Month Proclamation, Judson Independent School District Board of Trustees. Whereas October 2015 has been designated as Family and Community Engagement Month by the Judson Independent School District Board of Trustees. That's backwards. Whereas families are their children's first and most influential teachers and are critical to building a foundation on which their children will thrive, become lifelong learners, and meaningful contributors to society. And whereas those who partner with schools and actively participate in a child's learning from preschool through college contribute to their success by helping them understand that education is a gateway to a brighter future for other children and bridges and gaps. And whereas it is the district's commitment to every student has access to excellent education by establishing and maintaining effective communication between families, schools, and businesses, and partnerships within the community to work together to support children's learning by becoming meaningfully involved and engaged in learning process. And whereas districts shall use school and state accountability data to continue to provide information to parents and community to be informed public education decisions and choices. Now, therefore, I, Steve Salyer, Board President of the Judson ISD School District, hereby proclaim October 15 as Family and Community Engagement Month in the Judson Independent School District, and urge all to become familiar with the resources and services available within this district and to support and participate in the life of a child to nurture their creativity and individually enhance their productivity and achieve success. In witness thereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause to be affixed the great seal of the Judson Independent School District this 17th day of September 2015. Thank you. Okay.
Mr. Sellier, regarding the next agenda item, I'd like to actually go into closed session for this. It does have direct personnel attached. So I want to pull the item as an action item and just take whatever questions I have regarding direct personnel in closed session.
5B, you want to go in closed session?
Yes.
Okay, we'll read that later then. Okay, 5C, consider to take possible action regarding approving nominees for the Appraisal District Board of Directors 2016-2017. Motion?
Second.
Motion, Ms. Pershaw, second, Mr. LaFoyle. Discussion?
Do we have any nominees? I did see in our packet that Sherry Bynum was being recommended by the South Side ISD Superintendent for allocation. Are we to be making that determination today to allocate our votes to them? Are we just seeking nominations today?
Seeking nominations.
Okay.
If anybody wants, it's just nominations. We don't have to, we can actually approve this on the 23rd if we have to. Okay?
23rd of November or
no,
of October?
Next month.
Yeah.
I mean, next week. September 23rd, next week.
September 20, our team building exercise. Okay, I was just kind of clear. I'm just seeking clarification.
So I sent this out the board for people to see. Any discussion, or you want to do this on the 23rd, or what do you all want to do? Anybody ready?
I don't remember what the date is to vote on this.
October 15th. It's got to be in October 15th.
Before October 15th.
Yeah, so we can, whatever you want to do. I mean, why don't we do before October 15th? We're in the 20 Tell me what you all want to do.
I prefer the 23rd. I'd like at least some time to think about it. I've applied for this in the past, and so I
Okay.
may look at that opportunity again.
Okay.
But I'm not ready to make that decision right now.
Okay, I'll pull this item. Jackie will do it on the 23rd, okay? 4D, consider and take possible action regarding approving the fast-track hiring of teachers. Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Salinas, second, Mr. LaFoil. Discussion, Dr. Montoya.
You know, just very quickly, it's a process the district has used for a set amount of months, and we're just asking that it continue. As you board members are well aware, one of the issues is that we meet at a regular board meeting once a month, and when people apply for jobs, especially teaching, they tend to apply in several districts, and so it allows the superintendent to hire a teacher for a class pending official approval by the board at a regular board meeting, also once their file is complete. And we don't want to lose good applicants to other districts that might hire them sooner. So basically, that's what it is.
Mr. Salinas?
Thank you, sir. I will be supporting this, and let me tell you why. We're going to opening a new high school, and I think we need to start looking into the applicants as soon as possible, and if they're qualified, then they need to be hired immediately, and then later on we can approve them. I've had 2 phone calls on people that, one of them I know, the other one I don't. When can I apply? And I tell them, we have no control of that. You need to go through HR. So people are already thinking about, we're going to need some teachers in the future. So I think the fast track for this one would be excellent, and concentrating on the new high school. Thank you.
Any further discussion, anyone? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, 5E, consider and take possible, we're going to hold that personnel report. We'll hold that closed session. 6, discussion of items report, superintendent report. Dr. Montoya.
Mr. Salyer, members of the board, very quickly, in the last month, we opened our schools. There was really no, thank goodness, major issues. You know, there's always little things, but it was a very smooth start of the year. The other thing that we did, we toured some of our district properties that we have owned as a district for possible future school sites. Also, I attended an area police chiefs meeting on school safety and other factors. Several, as you know, this district sits in at least 6 districts as well as an Air Force base area, so we wanted to make sure we had that connection. I attended the monthly superintendent's meeting at Region 20. We also attended a Go Public meeting, Judson Education Foundation meeting, Northeast Partnership meeting with the mayors, attended the Lieutenant Colonel Karen Wagner Graveside Memorial Service, and also attended the Million Father March at Metzger. And we received from VH1 a piano for Judson High School, attended also a bond oversight committee, and we met with staff to prepare for a upcoming future parent conference. And of course, we meet ongoing with the principals on STAR scores, and I also met with the teacher union representatives. Also at this point, Mr. Elizondo, if you'll hand out the handout, did you hand it out? Okay, I'm not going to go through it, but very briefly, what this is our recommendation administratively to deal with the issue of high cost of using attorneys for the district. The district has a list of attorneys. The bottom line, the process would involve that a member of our school district that wants to talk to an attorney has to go, first of all, through their supervisors, and then eventually it comes to me for final approval. We would recommend that TASB be used because we belong to TASB, and that's a minimal, almost zero cost, unless it's something very precise then obviously we have to go to a particular law firm for that piece of information. But the bottom line is they have to clear through a set of steps. The other issue is on the other end, if the bill arrives to the district, we've created an internal position through Mr. Elizondo's office, in essence, a comptroller, in-house auditor, if you will, so that we can monitor the bills from the legal firms and check to make sure they're legitimate. Are they excessive? Are there issues we need to follow up and check before we pay them? So this is again, a draft. We ask board members that you kind of look at it. If there's any critique, anything you see, please get it to us within a few days so that we can go from there. But we'd like to try this model. I think it would be a good model to reduce costs from the legal side of it. And then the last announcement, it's halftime and Judson's beating Brennan 28-7.
Okay, great.
Oh, it's 31. It just went up. Great. Anyway, that's it.
Back on the legal part of it, Dr. Montoya worked real hard. I've been involved in this, and we went through a gamut, a whole bunch of things. And finally,
excuse me, Mr. Chairman, you're
Yeah.
out of order, sir.
What?
It can be discussed, not in agenda items. I'm sorry.
It's not okay. I'm just trying to bring some
Am I
background. I
right?
know.
Yeah, that's correct.
Hey, you
Yeah.
can't
Okay.
discuss
I'm
it.
just
it's
trying to bring
just
some
an
background.
information
Okay.
piece
We'll
of-
talk about it later.
Superintendent
Yes.
You're fine. Okay, you're right. You're
But
right. I'm
we
just trying to
want it
bring.
as an item.
Yeah,
Later
yeah.
on, you're gonna put it as an item, right?
Yeah. We'll make
Okay.
it, well, not an
Thank-
item. To dig on this and
Whatever.
get back.
Yes,
yeah.
sir. Thank you very much.
It's a way to fix
I
a
just
problem.
don't want us to get in trouble.
Okay, you're
Thank
right. You are right.
Thank you, sir.
I was just complimenting the superintendent. Job well done.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. 6B, update on the State of Transportation Department. Dr. Montoya.
If you don't mind, we'll go back to 6A, the construction
Oh, I'm
piece,
sorry.
very quickly. Mr. Fields, if you give him an update again, this is the new high school.
Yes, sir. Real quickly, 74% of all the work at Mackey High School has been completed. All of the bulky work, if you will, has been done on the outside. So now we're getting into the finishing pieces. If you were to look at how quickly the percentages went along as we worked on this project, they went up quick. But now that we're into more of the intricate details, it's going to start to slow down, and you won't see it go from 75 to 80 in 1 month. In addition, the mechanical, electrical, plumbing has been completed in the A, B, and C area, and the above ceiling and those inspections for MEP are underway because A, B, C is the furthest along. In D, E, and F, they're still putting in the metal framing. And in the athletic area outside, we're about 70% complete. And we're just waiting on now the mascot so we can start labeling some of the stuff throughout the school. And also on the outside towards the fields, we're going to start getting started with the sodding and seeding so we can start to irrigate and get the grass to catch. Any questions?
Mr. Flores?
How are we on our costs? I mean, flowing along? I mean, I don't want an exact number, but.
I would tell you that we are on time and under budget, Mr. Flores.
Excellent.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Montoya.
And the next item, 6B, update on the State of Transportation Department, a request by one of our board members, Mr. Salinas. Mr. Davenport, if you'd step forward and give us a little overview here.
Thank you, Dr. Montoya. Members of the board, my name is Don Davenport, and I'm your new Director of Transportation. I came here on May 21st, and I will tell you that the organization in itself is a sound organization. For the first time, I think, in years, we finally have 100% employee across the board, meaning bus drivers, monitors, and administrative staff. So that is one of the plus things that has happened here, because in the past, those other people had to be used as bus drivers because we didn't have enough. And so that's one thing I would like to say to you. The other thing of it is, there's a list of things that I commented on and gave to you in an extensive report. And one thing I will say to you is that the routing department is the heart of what we do. That's where everything begins with us, with the student registration processes coming from the schools, and then we, from that point on, then we plot the kids on the maps, and then you can go into TransFinder, and then you can find the things that you need. One of my major concerns when I first came here was the maintenance of the buses, and that still is an issue for me, is making sure that we have sufficient buses that can go out every day 133 of them every morning and every afternoon to pick up the students that are required for transportation, to get them to the schools, back to home, and to their activities. Sometimes it's a juggling act of trying to make it work for everybody, but we're making it, and we're struggling some days, but most of the time we've been successful. One of the things that you saw in the report that I gave to you was the chart about the number of buses that we have, and replacement buses and growth buses. And so I think that's one of the areas that's a concern with me. But looking at the whole picture for the first day of school here, I think that word came back. It was a good day. But for me, I would say to you that we needed a lot more exposure out there so we could release the number of phone calls that we get from parents asking questions about routes, pickup times, and things of that nature. If you just rely on the computer system, that's going to cause you some issues, because I don't think everyone may know how to use the TransFinder system and maybe don't have access to it. So we need to be more proactive in getting that information out, published at the schools, published at Walmarts, HEBs, any place that you can put it where people can see what the bus routes are. So pretty much that's the way transportation is working right now. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Mr. Salinas, you put this one on there, so.
Mr. Davenport, thank you very much, sir, for preparing this report. Excellent. One of the things I read here is we will be sending employees in September to Austin for advanced training. That is excellent. I mean, our employees need to have the update. Anytime it's available, great. And we want to make sure in next year's budget, if you need to increase your budget, make sure and let us know so we can help you with that. On the camera system, sir, it has been great help. Believe me, when I was an administrator, that was my frustration, because they used to change cameras from one bus to the next. Now I think we're up to 2 and 3 cameras, and you're saying the 4th camera would be required to be placed inside. I think that's excellent. I don't know where you put it in your budget, but make sure, and if there's a problem, check with our superintendent, and he'll bring it before the board if that's necessary. It says here, we now have a complete bus that has black backs instead of gray as a test project to see if this will deter damages. I don't know whether you had, well, you weren't here, but whether they budgeted that or not. I don't know how much it's costing you, but maybe if you can give Dr. Montoya how much it's cost that was not in the budget to do those projects, give it to Dr. Montoya, and maybe he can bring it back to us and say, look, they had to spend this extra money from their budget. A school bus communication. I think we have to be, and I read it, where we have to be very careful when we're mentioning students' names. So this is great, that I hope it's up to date as far as the communication between bus drivers to make sure no names are mentioned. You can say a student in my bus or something. That's very, very important. And I noticed here also on your vehicle fleet maintenance on page 98, that you had 8 hours of training on the system. The personnel have 8 hours. Again, that's another plus, sir. Thank you very much for staying on top of that. As far as the replacement program, if I'm reading this correctly, you are saying that I believe maybe 3 additional buses be purchased per year. Is that what I'm reading?
That's for growth.
Yeah, I know.
Yes,
because I thought
but,
we were buying like 5 or 6 a year.
Well,
so somehow this is great, but I don't want us to just buy 3, because if we can buy 4, that would be excellent. Now, the other idea that you have here, and I agree with you 100%, we need to get a vehicle that's going to carry, I think it's 15 students, up to 15?
14 passenger.
Oh, yes, less than 15 students, yes. and it doesn't require CDL license.
No, sir.
And I think, put that in the budget or get together with Dr. Montoya, we can do it this year, because I know they take a lot of trips to Corpus, and they have to take all these big buses. And I agree, why take a 70-passenger bus or whatever, when if we can have that. Now, is one gonna be good, or are you thinking maybe possibly two?
I'm thinking you ought to start off with 2 for each high school that you have, and that would work out well for the tennis teams, swim teams, things of this nature, golf teams that don't require a lot of students. So I think if the athletic department looked at that, they could determine exactly how many of those type buses that they need. Previously, I've been involved with that. They start out normally just a small number, and over a period of time, you'll find that it will grow because of the teams that are required to be going throughout the district, and also for UIL activities. You don't have to take a big 77-passenger bus like you're talking about with 14 kids on board. It's not economical.
Exactly, and again, hopefully you'll get together with our superintendent, and then he'll give us a report on that, sir, as to what kind of progress we want to make on that one. At the very end, by the way, sir, I was in transportation for 6 months, and I had made the recommendation that you're making here. I would recommend the construction of a new transportation maintenance facility with 5 drives through bays that could accommodate all maintenance personnel, office space, parts, area, and employee lounge in one location in order to maximize efficiency. On that one, I'm pretty sure Dr. Montoya will look into that, because if we're going to be looking at a bond, that might be one of the projects that might be a proposition that we could put in our bond. If I'm going to go to the last page on 99. What got my attention immediately, sir, you are the Director of Transportation, but yet you did not sign your name. Oh, Mr. Davenport, Director. This is great, sir. You are a team player. You didn't. I don't have to sign my name. We're all together, and this is great. I heard from 3 bus drivers that about the shirts. Oh, I said, you got 1 shirt? Said, no, we got more. And I said, maybe he can put it in the budget for next year. That is excellent. It was so great to see immediately that, here's our employees. Well, they recognized me and said, hello, Mr. Lynn, how are you doing? And they were telling me, what a difference, sir. And you and your team are doing a great job. Thank you very much for your report, sir, and we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else?
I'm sorry. We did not get, you talked about the bus. We didn't get anything about the buses.
Well, what you really, if you look at the, do you have a chart?
Oh, the chart, yes. I
Yes,
thought you said you had, okay. No, the chart is only who's responsible for what. I thought you said the number of buses we have and the year and miles and all of that. That's not what you meant.
No, it's not there on the board.
Oh, okay. Okay, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Davenport. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
Excellent report. I just a quick question. When I toured the transportation last year, one of the things I mentioned to Dr. Montoya was that Judson logo. Has that been changed out yet? Does it say Judson ISD Transportation yet, or is the Judson logo still on that building?
I don't think it's been changed.
It just says Judson Transportation is what it has on the
Because it had the Judson logo and it has a diamond J on it as opposed to a district signage. So we need to adjust that in some way, shape, or form. That has to reflect that it's a district facility or utility. Not a bad thing, just thought I'd bring it up because we have so many things going on, so that's not on anybody's top radar. Because really what's more important is what I'm going to address next, which is the morale of our transportation employees. And the morale obviously is increased in your short tenure here. I think because you've involved the employees, you've engaged them, you've sought their input, I think you've even created teams to help solve issues and problems within transportation.
That's correct.
And so those are excellent leadership traits and management skill sets. What we'll be looking at the end is we, of course, allocated an increase in compensation for transportation. And so we want to look at what retention looks like, because at the end of the day, we want experienced bus drivers in transportation to stay with us and be invaluable. So we'll be looking at that. At least I know that we're considering or concerned with that. So just keep the good work going and be sensitive to that. And I think you're doing wonderful.
Well, I think what you need to, what I have done since I've been there is be a part of the people. Be out there with them, be talking with them, being there with them in the morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, or it's 5:30, whenever it happens to be, and going around, and they appreciate me being there, and they will talk to you. They will tell you things that they probably wouldn't normally tell you if you were sitting in an office space. But it's been a great experience working with them. And at the same time, as we talked about the uniforms, that seems like that was one of the things that I thought maybe be a little bit of an issue since they'd never had those before. But fortunately, it has all come together and it's made it really worthwhile. And people come and say to me that, you know, we really appreciate this and we like these things that you're doing. So if you work with the people and you listen to them, things will work out.
Well, and then obviously that is something you're doing quite effectively. I guess my last thing for you to check into, or it could be Dr. Montoya, but it'll go down to you, is I'd like an assessment of that pay for a ride system that was instituted by the board several years ago. Pay to ride, I think is what it was. And I understand it's still in effect, and there are parents that are utilizing that, but just from a cost-benefit analysis, has that been something that's working? So your assessment on that would be helpful. I mean, you know, there's cost to everything, so just kind of curious if you could give us a report back on that.
All right, thank you, sir.
Anyone else?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Great. Good job.
Thank you very much, sir.
Appreciate it. Update on energy management, Dr. Montoya?
Again, this was a board request on the status of our energy management department and some of the outcomes. And if you would step forward, Mr. Ollier, and share your information.
Dr. Montoya, members of the board, I'm David Ayler, I'm the energy manager. What I'm going to do first is actually give you an update on rebates that we currently have been working on and what we have done in the past. The last energy management rebate presentation to the board in October 2014 was in the amount of $111,000 for the prior year's demand response initiative. Since then, the district has received 6 rebate checks from CPS for energy saving solutions totaling approximately $161,000. We had decided instead of smaller individual check presentations, we would combine the year's total into one after this year's demand response rebate has been finalized. We are waiting on the final results for this year's demand response, which is estimated to be $141,000. This is for the participation of 11 campuses that's listed in your report. Additionally, this year we have added 5 campuses, also listed in your report, to the new CPS Automated Demand Response Initiative, which the results should be in by the end of October. One other report the KW usage, with the combined support of the board, superintendent, staff, and students, the district has dropped its kilowatt usage by 3.6 million kilowatts since the 2011-2012 school year. This is also including the addition of 109,000 square feet for Copperfield. One last thing, with the bond on the horizon, we really need to consider our older campuses. Updating the HVAC systems, lighting, and controls with energy conservation in mind. In doing so, we can take advantage of the current energy rebates offered for these systems. Do y'all have any questions?
Mr. Salinas, you anything?
Thank you, sir. There was a great campus project going on. Do you know where are we? They were going to build something outside or something?
The solar classroom?
Yes.
We have just finished the second phase that was passed by the board, and for the construction design documents, that had just been completed. This project, total cost right now is like $350,000. I think this has been put on a potential bond line item at this point. But we had just finished getting the construction documents.
We paid for the construction, remember with the.
Okay, sir, thank you very much for your report, and I appreciate that you took time to bring us up to date. That's all I
Okay.
wanted for the board, okay?
Okay, November, we'll be giving these check presentations that I had mentioned.
Mr. Flores?
Yes, thank you for that report, sir. I'm wondering if we could get a list or a schedule of how old our older coolers and chillers and HVAC, all that is, so that we can pretty much get in line as far as where we need to go with that. Thank you.
How's our lights at Wagner working out? If you don't know, we put in special lights. It's supposed to save us a ton.
They're
of
on
money.
order, sir.
Huh?
In the gym?
Yeah.
They're on order.
They're on order?
We've got the one that was a trial.
The trial.
But
It worked out good?
I should have them around Thanksgiving.
And tell the board what that's going to save us, just in that one gym.
Each gym light is 400 watts, and we have reduced each light to 125 watts. We're getting help with CPS to pay for that project, for example, which is in your report, about $10,000. So we're saving and we're going to save quite a bit on it. And if I remember, it's like an 8-month payback.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you, sir. Move on. E, effective discipline practice presentation by middle school principals. Dr. Montoya.
Members of the board, again, this is a board member request, kind of an update on what some of our middle schools are doing in the general area of student discipline and hopefully in the effective effective practices. So I think, Ms. Worley, I believe you'll lead the pack. Is that correct?
Apparently I am, sir.
It's because you walked up to the podium.
Do you notice how
first.
Is it the PowerPoint? Okay, where's the mouse? Yeah, yeah. Good afternoon, Board. My name is Carolyn Ross. I'm the principal at Metzger Middle School, and thank you guys for having us tonight to present our current discipline policies that we have in place at our prospective campuses. I had presented some things earlier in the school year in reference to some of the things to help us combat some of the things that we address discipline with at Metzger Middle School. Each one of the middle schools will have an opportunity to share with you what we're doing on each of our campuses. We're not doing anything specific per se, but we do have some measures that we have in place to address bullying that the counselors put the kids in small groups once we identify those children that have been pegged as kids that bully other students on the campus. We also have a multi-year program aimed at teaching students, parents, and teachers about the transformational powers of positive relationships, and that's a program that Ms. Marita does with United Communities and the counselors on our campus as well. Those kids are identified as children with certain needs. We deal with a lot of bereavement, children with anger management, children of dads that are incarcerated, so we try to make sure that we put them in small groups. And the next bullet point, it talks about the small groups and the work that we do with the social worker and the counselors that are currently on our campuses. Metzger right now currently has a counselor that visits 1 day a week. I've gone from when I took over Metzger 5 years ago, we had a full-time counselor, and then the next few years we lost the budget. We lost budgeting for a full-time counselor to we were having a social worker for 2 days a week, and now we're down to 1 day a week. And our numbers have increased in size. Our current enrollment is around 980 kids, and we're having to be creative when it comes to dealing with our children on the campus. And we do have an opportunity to work with our kids on character building skills during our CCR time. We normally use that time to address vocabulary issues. Now we're using that time to work with our children on socialization skills and how to interact appropriately in discourse when they're dealing with adults and their peers on the campus. And again, earlier I said we identified certain students for specific group counseling, and we're going to start those groups starting next Thursday. So you guys are welcome to come and observe some of those groups if you'd like.
Excuse me, I have a question for Mr. Ross. Dr. Montoya, is that all right? What is CCR time, ma'am?
That's our college career readiness time, and we usually use that time to either offer tutoring or remediation or small intervention for those kids on the campus. And it's about 45 minutes.
Good evening, board members. My name is Dawn Worley. I'm the director of the JSTEM Academy. And we work as a school within a school and in collaboration with Judson Middle School. But some of the things that we do specifically within JSTEM is that the students are actively involved in their academics through project-based learning, and that keeps them really focused on their work and the projects that they're doing. So we have a lot of positive behavior that results from that. We also utilize our counselor. Thank you very much for that. So she does a lot of interventions to help improve our academics and maintain positive behavior. We also spend a lot of time with oral and written communication with our parents and families through a variety of ways and a lot of different activities that the parents are welcome to attend to. We also have very fair and consistent expectations that we utilize with the children and use preventative reinforcement of behaviors through modeling and classroom guidance. And finally, we do recognize the students each 6 weeks for different things such as, their academic achievement, and we are looking at some other ways to positively reinforce the behaviors of the children. They already do a really good job as it is, but we want to continue to work with those students. And that's what we do at JSTEM. Do you have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Ms. Worley?
Yes, sir.
I was going to reserve my questions for after all the presentations, but I assume it might be easier just to ask now as we're going through. JSTEM is only in its second year, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
yes, sir.
And you've taken the helm last year at some point,
I
right?
took over at the end of February last year, yes, sir.
And from a numbers standpoint, do you feel JSTEM has a lot of disciplinary problems, or?
No, sir.
Yeah.
And because we stay actively, the children do stay actively engaged with their academics, so it's very, very minimal. I mean, they're children, they're going to make a mistake or two, but it's minimal.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, board members. I'm Mary Duhar-Toppin, the principal of the Kirby Middle School in Judson ISD. At Kirby Middle School, I came in last year in July of this past school year. And one of the things we're doing a lot of effective monitoring. That is by everybody that's on the campus, from myself all the way down to the custodian that comes in the evening time. Everyone's got their eyes on the kids and what they're doing in the hallways throughout the day. We also have created a very structured environment in our ISS because when I got there last year, ISS seems to be the place that kids wanted to be. And so I turned that into a very structured environment where during ISS time, if you happen to get sent to ISS, you are learning the entire time that you're there. You have to write an essay when you first get into ISS about what you did to get you placed there, and then what you could have done to make a better decision so you wouldn't have ended up in ISS. And then we also have our counselors floating into ISS on a daily basis, 1 period a day, to talk to the kids about making wise choices. And that is also, so now ISS has now become the place that you do not want to be because you don't get to hang out and go to sleep. You get to learn and write and do all those things. And also we have our teachers floating into ISS consistently throughout the day during their conference period to teach kids and work with kids individually while they've been placed in ISS. And so the purpose of doing all of that for ISS is not that I want to promote punishing kids for their behavior, but also to make sure that we don't want to go to ISS. And so our numbers are way down in ISS, where it used to be 15, 20 kids a day, depending on what time of the day it is. It's now down to 2 because nobody wants to go. They'd rather be in class. We also do 6-week celebrations. Every 6 weeks, we recognize academic, citizenship, and character. And we also ask teachers to nominate those kids that would not normally fit. Kids that, you know, have improved their grades from 6 weeks to the next. We'd like to recognize them. We invite their parents out, and we also provide the kids with a breakfast, and we listen to music and have a good time socializing during Falcon Time, which is the first 30 minutes of every day. So we're sure to make a big deal about the kids that get invited to that. And the last thing we do is that our advisory period, which is our Falcon Time, Monday through Friday, it's very organized, and we have a focus for self-management, character, and academics. And so we've noticed that our kids at Kirby have a real hard time at organizing their work and getting themselves organized for academics. So we've implemented the agenda and also the homework folder. And this, on Mondays, that we work on. We talked about how to get yourself organized. We do goal settings to make sure that you know, if I'm failing this class, what's my goal by the end of next week? Where do I want to be? Where do I want to be at the semester, and where do I want to be at the end? We also talk about character development and talk about conflict resolutions. And then we have a reading, writing focus in our Falcon Time where the kids are getting introduced to current events and political cartoons, and we talk about those things, and the kids write. So all in that is we're trying to get the kids focused on academics, to raise our expectations for academics, and as well make them productive citizens in society.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
Thank you. This is really exciting. I mean, you all are right there, all the middle school principals. That's kind of cool. But in your opinion, what grade has been the most challenging at Kirby? Is it your 8th graders or 7th graders or 6th graders?
If you had asked me last year, I would tell you without a shadow of doubt was my 8th graders, because I was their 3rd principal in 3 years.
Okay.
And so they didn't know me, and so that took a while, and they had been allowed to get away with some things, and so I had to grow to get them to my way of thinking. I think that's what I'm trying to do. This year, I believe once it's not our 8th graders this year, it's our 7th graders. It kind of depends on what's coming through the door. Our 6th graders this year are really sweet, but it seems to be our older set of kids, 7th and 8th graders. This year is my 7th graders, and I've only been with them for 2 years.
You may have mentioned it, and I was trying to retain everything that you were saying, but you may not have. So if you could clarify this next question for me. I didn't hear anything about race relation issues at Kirby, and I mentioned that because in the past I've heard instances where parents said, hey, there's this race tension happening at Kirby, and I've never been able to validate or say it's true, just parents telling me when they call. But you're there, you're seeing it every single day. Mm-hmm. You did not mention it at any of this, but is that an issue at Kirby in your opinion?
No, sir, it isn't. People do have the misconception that Kirby is an all-black school, but it's not. We're predominantly Hispanic, 64%. Our African Americans are around about 22%, and then the whites, Asians, and West Africans, and what else that we have there at the camp. I don't have a race issue at all. That never comes up.
Oh, good, good. I mean, again, you're the person that would know, and so that's
Yes.
why that clarity would be necessary. Well, good. Well, thank you. That's all I have
Thank
right
you.
now.
Thank you.
My name is Ted Haynes, the principal of Judson Middle School. Looking at the counselor interventions to improve academics and behavior. What we have at our counselors work under the comprehensive guidance program. And what they do, I have 3 counselors for 6, 7, and 8 grades, and they have groups for the fall and spring semesters. Also, they go into classrooms depending on the grade level that they serve. Also in reference to communications, how we communicate with the community and with the who are the community stakeholders and the parents. We work in conjunction with JSTEM. Our counselors work hand in hand and sharing information that's very vital in regard to college and career pathways. We had a standing room only attendance at that event. We do that on a monthly basis. Also, in regard to the type of discipline program that we have at Judson Middle School, it's called PBIS. PBIS is the acronym for Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports. This program is a school-wide program that is driven by being proactive and being preventive. In doing so, it also supports positive students' behavior that also yields a positive learning community. Also, with respect to PBIS, is a program that has a situation where we drive systems in order to support our students. This is our 4th year for PBIS. In terms of PBIS, we have been there 4 years. This is our 3rd year going into our 4th year. And in regard to the data for the past 3 years, our school referral rate has been reduced as high as, depending on the year, 53%.
Thank you. Mr. Macias, you got a question? You're not done yet.
Mr. Haynes, I think you've been at Judson Middle School for how long now?
This is going on my 6th year in 5 years.
I think you and Ms. Ross have been senior middle school principals in this group, so that's kind of cool. So I'm going to ask you this question. When you assess your behavioral issues, what do you lean on to kind of determine trends within your district? What report? Because I know there's different reports that you could look at, but what report to you is invaluable to kind of determine, hey, what we're doing is working to address the discipline problems in our school?
Okay, some of the reports we look at is, number 1, attendance. Attendance is extremely important because not only attendance of our students, but attendance of our teachers. And also in regard to how many kids go to ISS, because that has an impact on allowable learning time. And kids cannot learn with efficiency if they're in ISS. That's just a way that we can keep the kids in school and keep them engaged without sending them home in terms of out-school suspension. We want them in school. We want them engaged. And another thing we look at is how many kids who are out of the classrooms, and we look at referral rates. Well, you know, we don't want to be known and characterized as referral agents on my campus. So what we need to do is to make sure that we give them some instruction of quality. That's they're engaged. That's with rigor. So we can make sure that we can impact them so they can fulfill their aspirations in terms of their career pathways. I think we need to keep them in the classroom. And once they're in the classroom, that means it puts the onus on us as educators to do what's deemed necessary so they can be successful. And the way they can be successful is to keep on working with them, have tutoring in the morning, interventions in the afternoons, and also give them the praise that's praiseworthy so they can inspire them to be what they can be.
When you have an issue of, let's say, bullying, because bullying is part of the issue here as well, if there is a bullying incident, is the student put into ISS as a behavioral course of action?
It depends on the level of bullying. We don't have many incidents when it comes to bullying in the Judson Middle School, but when we do, we work hand in hand with the parents. If it's a continual thing, we're going to do everything we can to eradicate that type of behavior. Also, in regard to bullying, that's not an option at Judson Middle School, because kids will come there and parents expect their kids to be safe, the kids will get a quality education, and we frown upon that type of behavior. And if we have to come up with a safety plan for those students, we can do so as well. But if this continues to be a persistent type of behavior, we will do what's deemed necessary to stop it, period.
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ames.
Good evening, board members. I'm Dan Brooks. I'm the principal of Woodlake Hills Middle School for a whopping 4 weeks. And I have to say that it's going pretty well. Some of the things that I'm looking to do at Woodlake Hills as I continue to get acclimated to the campus is, first thing I've done is all teachers are required to be present in the hallways. During our passing periods, that's an immediate walk out into your hallway and make sure you're present in the hallway. I think that having adult presence while students are in the hallways cuts down on any type of horseplay or bullying that could go on. And so teachers and staff are there to address anything that might happen. Also, my assistant principals are all stationed in certain areas of the school during passing periods, before and after school. Also with teachers, we have them assigned in different areas of the school in the mornings and after school. Myself, I'm out in the front of the school every morning at 7:30, and then every afternoon when school is releasing at 3:30, I'm standing out greeting parents, greeting kids, just being a presence. As it relates to any type of discipline issue within a classroom, we have the discipline document form, or DDF form, that was implemented last year that I thought to carry over into this year. It's basically a progressive discipline type of a document where if they're having issues in the classroom, teachers, instead of writing an immediate referral and sending them to the administrator and taking them out of class, teachers are dealing with issues there in the classroom with this document form. And after a certain number of entries on that form, they then send them to the administrators to deal with them on an administrative level. That's some of the things we do when we've gotten an issue. Some of the preventative things that I'm looking at, my counselors brought to me this initiative. It's called AIM, and it's Amigos in Mediation. It's through the Bexar County Dispute Resolution Center. It's a peer mediation program that it's no cost. They come out to the school, train staff and students, and it's, again, a preventative type of initiative to combat bullying, anything of that nature. And then the second thing I'm looking at, I haven't done anything with this yet, but it's called Watchdogs, and it's DOGS, it's an acronym, it's Dads of Great Students. And it's an initiative through the National Fathering Institute. And what it is you're looking for fathers or father figures, male presence in the schools who would come in, volunteer a day just to be in the school, just to be a presence, either eat lunch or hall monitor or be in the library or wherever, but again, just a presence in the school to cut down on any type of bullying or any type of discipline issues. And so those are some of the things that I'm looking at as far as, maintaining the discipline. So far, I've had no real issues as it relates to discipline. The only thing that I think would be the biggest issue that I've encountered so far is what Ms. Duhart-Toppin experienced last year, and that's with 8th graders. They don't know me, so they're getting to know me, and so I've been constantly with them. During lunchtime, I'm out there with them, just getting to know them, trying to build a rapport with them so that they know what my expectations are as far as being students at the school. And again, I've really had no real issues at the school up until this point. So, any questions?
Thank you. Hello, Mr. Brooks.
Hi.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Sir, on the DDF form,
Yes, ma'am.
when does the teacher fill it out?
At the time of the incident in the classroom. If there's an incident in the classroom, you know, she or he have a conversation with that student. They fill out whatever the incident may have been, whatever the issue may have been in the classroom. They're kept there. They have them there in the classrooms.
So it's possible it could be in the middle of instruction time
It could be. It could be.
that they stop and fill out the form.
I try to encourage them not to do that, but sometimes, depending on the issue, that's possible. Yes, ma'am.
So the teacher keeps the form and records on that form every time there's another infraction?
Right. Yes, ma'am. It's a progressive.
And then you have a
type of
number of infractions before the form is sent to admin?
Correct. Correct. And it's to track a trend, any trends that a particular student might have, you know, depending on what they're doing. And then from there, it's now a phone call to a parent or, you know, whatever that resolution might have been for the teacher at that time. But by the time it gets to us, we now know that, okay, you've had 3 incidents of this particular situation. And so that then determines what we as administrators will do in the sense of a consequence for that student if it gets to our level.
So how's that working for the student?
I've really not had many so far.
We've not been in school long enough.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So maybe this is something that you guys could come back at a later date and give us some more data. Because what I'd like to know is that one thing that I heard Mr. Haynes say, what is the difference in the number of referrals that you're getting? And it's too early on in the school year to be able to determine that. But if you come back later, possibly in the spring, you'd have some more information to give to us, because the whole nature of this is that we don't have a specific disciplinary system in our district, and so each one of you is doing something different. So maybe possibly you guys could come back and let us know how that's working. Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. I finally heard you say maybe a phone call to the parent. Phone call to the parent should be one of the most important things that the teacher or administrator must do.
Absolutely.
Let's say, for example, on this form, I've dealt with this student 3 times. I talked to him the first time, called the parent the second time, and maybe the third time. If it comes to third time, I think that's when the parent should be not only notified, but a parent conference should be held.
Absolutely.
Okay? Now, one of the things that I learned many years ago is it's very important that when we have the parent conference, we have to have the problem there. Not, oh, no, we don't want them to miss English time, so we're going to talk to you. It's very important that that student be at the parent conference.
Yes, sir.
Very important, and I think that'll bring a lot of success, sir.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.
One more thing. I forgot. On the first day of school, when I was visiting some schools, one of the schools that I visited had that Watchdogs program. It was an elementary school, and that principal was very, very proud of that program and said that it made such a difference because they were dads.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Montoya, School Board. My name is Rodney Veal. I'm the principal at Kitty Hawk Middle School. At Kitty Hawk, we have instituted restorative discipline. And this is with our 6th graders, and we are looking to advance that to our 7th graders and our 8th graders in the next consecutive years. Restorative discipline it's a proactive approach. And what it has with it is, if you think about the name restorative discipline, it doesn't it does not discount that there is discipline. There is something that is handled, an issue, a safety issue, but what it also does is it allows you to restore. When discipline happens, there's a break in a relationship, but we get to restore that relationship. So whichever student comes in, we can circle that, we can talk about that with them, they can reflect on their actions, we can go through other options that they possibly could have had, along with teaching them a skill. Some of the discipline problems are that there is a gap with that student. Well, that student now has the opportunity to speak with an adult, to speak with the other person, and we can work through that skill. Our goal is to go ahead and slow down repeat offenses of different activities, and to go ahead and keep safety in the utmost of their minds. And I know they're kids, but we want them to be thinking safety at all times. One of the things that this goes around is the Kitty Hawk Respect Agreement that was set up by the 6th grade students. The 6th grade students had their voice in this, and they set this up, and it deals with the interactions of student to student, student to teacher, teacher to student, and everybody to the building. And so that respect agreement has been set up. It's posted in all the 6th grade classrooms. And it's not just in 6th grade, because this is bleeding into the 7th grade and the 8th graders through my admin team and the counseling team who knows of this. And if I could give you one quick example, we had a little something bubbling up with 2 students, and I was able to speak to the student. And when I did, his main concern was, when I get home and talk to my dad, when you call my dad, I'm not playing football this weekend. And I said, hold on, and we talked about it. And I said, it's how you go home and handle this. About 5:30, I give the young man's father a call, and I asked him just point blank, sir, I'm Mr. Vigil. I talked with your son today in my office. And he said, yes. He came home. He came straight in the door. He sat down with me. We talked about the issue. I said, sir, was he respectful? He said, yes, he was. And I said, well, that's the only thing that I wanted from him. I wanted him to come home and have a talk with you. And he thanked me for it. And it's probably one of the issues that I've seen with us being able to talk with the students, and we worked through it.
Thank you. Yes. Go ahead, Dr. Salinas.
Mr. Vigil, thank you so much. I noticed it says here that you started it this year, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you bring that to the campus, or was that already in place?
No, ma'am. I was lucky enough they kind of did a pilot of this, and that's how we came up with the respect agreement. They started this last year, and it was piloted by Ms. Hoddle, who saw what they were doing at Ed White, and she just happened to know the wife of the gentleman who was running it, and made the contact. So really, I stepped into it being there, and thoroughly impressed with it so far.
So this week, I don't know if you're aware, they had a free 2-day restorative discipline readiness training for administrators at Region 20. And September 24th, they're offering for $50 restorative discipline conferences and circles, because I noticed you also mentioned that you need further funding. And
Yes,
on
ma'am.
September 1st, they actually had it also a full-day training for $50. So it's pretty economical to send at least lead teachers so that you can start implementing that at further grade levels.
Yes, ma'am. We have budgeted this year that the gentleman is going to come in, and he's coming to our campus. So we're setting up our dates for him to come, and he's going to speak to us. He's already handled our 6th grade teachers, but like we said, we want to integrate the 7th graders next year, 7th grade teachers, because our next year 7th graders will have kind of gone and worked through this.
Sure.
So yes, ma'am.
There's free workshops.
Yes, ma'am.
For administrators.
And that's right in my budget, ma'am. I appreciate that.
Good.
Mr. Vigil, excellent. I read the article in the paper this summer about this program, and I don't know how familiar you are with the type of climate that was at Ed White, but if that climate could be turned around at Ed White and the successes that it's had because of that, I say touche to you to bring it to Kitty Hawk. And so you've got out of all of these that have been presented, this is the one that is the most definitive type program at the middle schools, is this one. I've been told by my colleagues that every middle school is different, every school is different, everybody cannot have the same type of system. But doggone it, there's been nothing but positive that has come from those students at Ed White Middle School because of this program. Also, the training was at one of the elementary schools. They're using it also.
Yes.
So hats off to you. Very
Well,
good.
And that's hats off to my team and Ms. Hoddle, who's
Yes,
worked
sir.
very,
Yes, sir.
very hard at making sure that this is
a
going
great program.
going to fly and it's going to hold water.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Very good presentation, and naturally, like Ms. Pichelle mentioned, there's no true uniformity in terms of how we are as a district addressing discipline or bullying issues. I look at academic success as a very important factor to are these programs working, and I know that recently we had a situation where we had a fatality at one of the elementary schools that was drug related. And so, in my mind, there could have potentially been some preventative work done at the middle school to start to identify some of these issues. I would even wager that there may have been discipline problems with this particular student or students back in middle school. So as we reevaluate our strategies as a board, where do we want to allocate our resources, our time, our money? And everyone, I think, would have consensus here to say that middle school is a very important area. I mean, that is the crossroads, and we know that. So really looking at what our middle schools are doing, coming back as a board and even through your input, to figure out what do we need to do to take it to the next level. And so I will be interested in looking at that, and your assessment today was helpful for me. I mean, I needed to kind of get an idea of where we are. But I do think there's room for improvement, and I think that best practices need to be shared amongst all the middle schools, and I'll encourage Dr. Montoya to still have sort of a forum as we continue to evaluate. It's nice that we have new leadership in our middle schools, balanced with some seniors, but certainly there's still room to evaluate. That's good. It's good. But I guess there's no magic potion or silver bullet or any of those things, and I do acknowledge different factors, socioeconomics, dual income families, I mean, and so on. So we have some work to do, but I think that we can come together between you, between the board, between our superintendent, and we really can find something that's going to help our students achieve. And so, again, I just want to say personally thank you for taking time to come out. I know it's Thursday, you have school tomorrow, but again, I just appreciate it, so thank you.
Okay, thank you guys for letting us all present. So I'm going to go ahead and close out with a few recommendations that we all came to consensus on that we'd like to see at all of our campuses. So one of the things we'd like to see is hall monitors at every middle school campus to assist with student safety. Currently, Kirby Middle School is the only middle school that has a hall monitor. Also, equity in funding when programs are being implemented. Well, one of the things that we shared in our group discussion, also every campus has different needs, i.e. a different culture, as you guys discussed earlier, and an opportunity to have access to grant funding. But one of the things I also want to close with, I want to commend Kevin Curtis over at White Middle School for creating a name for restorative discipline. But one thing Dr. Montoya was not shared with you guys, Kevin Curtis mentored under me for an entire year at Metzger Middle School. So when he came to visit our campus, which was around 6 to 7 times, he came to see Metzger's model as far as expectation with the number of male role models that I had at the campus and some of the things that we were doing differently on the campus. He decided to put together a program. He took it to UTSA, and now he's currently working at TEA. And I'm very proud of him, but also we partnered with Ed White Middle School, and they came over to a Young Men's Leadership Conference with us as well. So We are doing some things in conjunction with other school districts, but I want you all to know that we are leading the way in expectations for our children in behavior. So they're putting a nice little package on it, but we're doing some great things in our district as well. And thank you guys for giving us y'all's attention tonight.
Ms. Michelle wanted to say something.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you turned on your,
Oh,
okay.
I hadn't turned it on.
Okay, thank you.
I heard several times here that middle schools are using different discipline things. Well, let me clarify one thing. If I'm wrong, correct me. The district code of conduct, we have certain procedures that have to be followed. Whether a student is going to be placed in ISS.
Yes, sir.
Whether a student is going to be placed, suspended.
Yes, sir.
Or alternative school. You might be using little different models, but at the end, all these middle schools are following the district
code of conduct.
requirements is what they need to do. It's not that they're doing different things.
Right.
They're trying little different models, which is great. And again, ahead of time, remember, we'll start with the budget in January, so if you all, middle schools, all principals have ideas, put them together and bring them to Dr. Montoya.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Salinas, the first week of school every year, the first 3 days, we have what we call assemblies in regard to student code of conduct assemblies. We go over everything in that handbook. And then we go over dress code. We go over consequences. In fact, Dr. Montoya came over when we were having a assembly. We do 6th grade, we do 7th grade, and we do 8th grade. So we're obligated to let them know what the rules are and what the expectations are before we start the school year. You're welcome.
Thank you all, I appreciate it. Good luck, everybody. For personnel, closed session? Okay, we're gonna go to closed session for that one. G, discussion of potential bond. Mr. Macias, do you have something?
Yeah, and I won't take too long. I just wanted to kind of put out there, our middle school teachers, are they still all here? They're leaving. That's good. I don't blame them. A timeline for putting a bond committee together. I did have a brief conversation with Dr. Montoya about that timeline. I just kind of want to put out there what that's looking like. We do know that we need to put mass communication out in the media, the print, and then also assemble a team. So, Dr. Montoya, if you could share a little bit of that, I'd appreciate it.
Again, members of the board, what we do need from you, as you all are aware, at the last board meeting, you approved us to move forward with a bond committee, which basically implies that we will be looking at a bond issue in the future. We are asking that you do to Ms. Jacqueline Perez, that you send her your list, that each of you, at least 2, so that you give us those names. We can look at the different areas that we're needing as far as adding other people from the community, representatives. So I think that's an upfront thing that we're doing. We are also literally in the process right now of doing a needs assessment. Part of the needs assessment is from the past, some of the things that were left over from areas that were not dealt with in previous years, but also current, working with some of the campuses, some of the current needs in terms of facility-related issues. So that's going on literally as we speak. And then the other piece is that we are looking at a firm, an architectural firm that will assist us in the process of doing the actual bond presentation, the information pieces, tying it to the needs assessment, also working with the bond committee. So those are evolving literally in the next few weeks as we speak. We've also begun to meet with the mayors from the different communities that feed into Judson ISD, and it appears, the beginning stages of positive support, because what we do in the district directly impacts the economy of the community. So, we're working on that. And I don't know, Mr. Fields, if you want to share any other items.
No, sir, I'm ready to answer any questions you may have. We're chomping at the bit. We're ready to go. Victor has really done a really good job at outlining all of the things in the district that need to be accomplished based on prior assessments and even pricing them. So at this point, we're just waiting to get the architect firm to come in so we can start having the meetings and then prioritizing that list.
Just a reminder to our fellow board members, Ms. Perez sent us an email a couple of days ago and said, I thought the deadline was today. So I submitted my 2 names. Please make sure and submit your names from your district. I had selected somebody else that was not my district, so I had to call that person and say, I'm sorry, we just got information that it has to be from our district. And I saw a truck that said home inspections. The truck stopped by my house, and I said, oh, by the way, do you live here? He said, yeah, I live a couple of streets from here, from your house. Oh, I said, good. How long you been doing inspection? He said, 10 years. Oh, I said, we need you in a committee. He said, what committee? I said, it's a bond committee, and that committee is going to go around inspecting schools and everything. He said, I'd love to serve. I said, good, you're in. So I gave it to Ms. Perez. So let's get those people in so we get it started and get volunteers from the community. I'm ready for this.
And I have one last point to make on this. Just as a general, I spoke with Ms. Pichelle the other day and told her, hey, this is an opportunity for the board to sort of dream about what other needs this district could use in order to move forward. And I'm going to once again float the idea of an intermediate school having a 5th and 6th grade campus as well as the 7th and 8th, just to kind of look at the numbers and see if that makes sense to potentially talk amongst my colleagues on, do we want to move forward with this concept? But if we're going to put that on the table, this is a time in which we do that. We have these discussions, we look at the data, and we kind of make a decision. Does it make sense? So in trying to really focus back on that whole middle school gamut where we really need some focus, I'm thinking there might be some opportunity to do that if we have to. But again, we'll have more discussion about it. I just wanted to kind of share with the board that this is our window of opportunity. If we're going to build infrastructure, this is it.
That we look at some additional criteria for the Hall of Honor. I do remember at one time that when Mr. Merrill was sitting on the board, he brought up an idea that we should look at folks that are not graduates of Judson High School that are in the field in the civics area. That there are a lot of people that volunteer and do things in our district, but they were not Judson graduates, and right now the criteria says only Judson graduates. So I'd like to...
Why don't you get with Dr. Montoya and Mr. Linscomb and kind of put something together, and we'll put it on the agenda when we get it right. Okay? Sir? Yeah. Yeah.
Because I believe we already have Hall of Honor or some people that have not graduated from Judson, if I remember correctly, outside.
I have to look at it. Yeah, right.
I know.
He's on it, yeah. Let's look at it, Steve.
Yes, I know, you're right. Thank you, ma'am.
Excuse me if you don't mind. Those that are not products of JISD are typically those that are coaches, like say Coach Rutledge, Coach Rackley. There have been some nominees that have been mentioned a number of times that have made huge contributions to the district, but were not necessarily a product of JISD. Bonnie Schultz is one that comes to mind very quickly. So, you know, there is some room, some latitude if the board decides they want to revisit that, and I'll be happy to help out if you care to.
Okay. Mr. Flores?
Yeah, well, as we all know, we have TASB coming up. Well, first of all, next week we have our team building,
23rd.
and then the 23rd, and then the 24th, we have the at Breckenridge High School, the Go Public, the Bear County School Board Coalition. Then we got TASB the next week. What I'd like to ask everybody to do is make sure you download the TASB app for the convention. And, you know, maybe by next week, if we can look at the sessions and we can all pick one session that we can go to as a board. So all of us are hearing the same thing with the administrators or whoever's there from Judson, Dr. Montoya, and we'll go to this one session, pick one, that we can all go together and then just start building from there, either goal setting, team building, you know, whatever. You know, but
Sir, I think it's great.
Yeah, but
you invited everybody attend. That's great. I always go.
because we
I
are,
always
no,
go
no,
to
no,
all
it's
of
not
them.
just that, it's that we go to different sessions. We go to different sessions and we always say, God, I wish the other board members were here to hear this. So I'm saying if we could go to one together and then, I have the other one. So that's all I have on that. Thank you.
Sir, there was, I believe, what was the correction?
Okay.
No, I thought I had seen that. I said, it doesn't sound the same. What is that?
Okay.
Oh, it's not a.
Put it in there. Okay.
Tell me.
The only thing I have is next Wednesday, the 23rd. Dr. Salinas is the only one that's put anything in writing on our goals. So do not come unprepared next Wednesday when for board goals and not have anything, okay? Okay. You know, that's okay. Well, I'm just saying, everybody bring them, because there are people going to show up and not have anything. So that's the only thing I got. Dr. Salinas, anything?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Mr. LaFoyle?
Yes, I would like to put that on the next agenda about the closing of the gates.
Okay. They get the discussion on that, Dr. Montoya? Okay. Mr. Macias, anything?
No.
Oh, okay.
And also, I want to tell you that I made the 9/11 for Karen Wagner at the Fort Sam Houston Cemetery along with Dr. Montoya.
Thank you. Mr. Macias, anything?
Yeah, since it's early in the year, I'd like to put a discussion for SAT again. We have our SAT prep, so I'd like to see that on the agenda to discuss.
Okay. I'm going to break protocol here just a little bit. On Citizens Be Heard, I know Ms. Perez is always in the back of the room. Is George Milk still here? George? I think everybody needs to say what they need to say, and I'm going to break protocol here big time. And would you come up? You have 3 minutes, sir, to speak on your issue, if you would.
Appreciate it. There's a couple of you here that I know. My name is George Michaels. I've been a taxpayer here for 30 years, and then I had the good fortune to teach and to be part of the greatest staff that ever has existed in the state of Texas, and in the coaching staff for 27 years. Unfortunately, I couldn't be here last night to discuss the naming of the new school. I was flying probably about over Dallas at the time and coming back from visiting my mother, who's 91, and her sister, who's 100, or I would have been here. I'm, how can I say this nicely, a little appalled and saddened over the selection of the person who is the new school is going to be named after. Found it quite amusing tonight that all the board members never mentioned the new school by its name that you selected last night. All of you kept saying new school. Okay? Mr. Fields did say Mackey. Okay? There was and there are other people who I felt were a lot more deserving that the school should be named after. I'm going to say his name. His name is Thomas E. Parsley, Eddie Parsley. He was at the Judson Independent School District as an assistant principal at Kirby, a principal at Kirby, a principal at Kitty Hawk, and a principal at Judson High School. I don't think you would ever find another person that bled Rocket Pride. Not only as far as athletics is concerned, but as far as academics is concerned. He was a leader in academics for Judson. He was a leader in extracurricular activities. Judson received numerous awards, state and nationally, under his leadership. Underneath the difficult time when Judson was going from 2,500 students or 2,800 students to 5,000 students and 2 campuses. And that was a huge undertaking to manage that. And he did a great job. One of the things that you would find about Mr. Parsley was he had a great love for kids, a tremendous love for kids. And he always made a statement, and there were times I disagreed with him on it, but after a while, I saw what he was trying to do. He said, kids don't fail, teachers fail kids. And if we didn't stay with what he wanted to do, I think we would have had a tremendous amount less graduating from what we did underneath his mentorship. Remember, I was underneath his mentorship that Judson was a national blue ribbon school. And I just, very sorry that y'all made that selection. Like I said, if I was here last night, I would have been very vocal in what I was saying and promoting Mr. Parsley. He's a very humble man, and he would not blow his horn, I promise you that. And he gave an awful lot to Judson, more than somebody that had only been here for 6 or 7 years, when he was with the district for 30 years. And guess that's all. Like I said, I'm appalled over the absurdity, and I didn't see the gentleman, I'm sorry, the person who the school is being named after in the list. I don't know how many times he was on there, but when I was going through the JISD thing, I saw the name none. I don't know if it could be rescinded. I don't know if there'll be a petition started. I'm sorry, I don't know, because I haven't been back less than 24 hours. But I would hope you would consider it. Okay? Thank you for your time, and good luck on another school year.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we're going to go into closed session now. This board will now adjourn to closed session pursuant to the following section of the Texas Government Code Meeting Act 551072, discussing purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, and discussion of personnel or to hear complaints against personnel. We are going to do, let's see, consider and take possible action on purchase, exchange, consider personnel. I think I got, and there was one more. What were we going in under? Discipline. And we're going to do, since it involves personnel, discussion of practices of personnel. No final decision or vote shall be taken while the board is in closed session. This board shall reconvene in open session after the closed session if necessary. No decision or vote will be taken while in the meeting. We're adjourning at 9:24. Thank you.